Morning. Last year, my parents went to America to visit my younger brother who was studying out there for a year. And so, Kat and I had the joy and the privilege of being dog sitters for 2 weeks. Now, Alfie is a lovely, cute, happy dog. He is great, but he doesn't like being alone. So, whenever you leave the room or leave the house, well, definitely when you leave the house, you will hear some whimpers and some howling. He hates the thought of being alone, and maybe you can relate to that. We're a bit like that as people. We like company. We don't like to be alone. And maybe this social distancing and period of isolation has made you realise how much you need others. I know some people who are quite shy and quite reserved, and they've seen in this time how much even they need other people. They have found it very difficult to spend so much time on their own. Why is that? Well, it's because we are made to spend time with other people. We are made for community because we're made in God's image, and God is a communal and friendly God who has been in relationship with the rest of the Trinity since before the world began. And so, because we have been created by God in His image, we too have a desire to be with others. And I want to share some words with you that Jesus spoke to His disciples before He was taken back to heaven after His death and His resurrection. And Jesus was about to leave His disciples, and they were full of fear. Not just because they were going to be left alone, but because Jesus, the most amazing man who ever lived, because He was God Himself, who had been their teacher and their friend for 3 years, was now going to leave them. Imagine that emotional roller coaster that the disciples had been on. They had enjoyed this great time with Jesus, and then He told them that He was going to die. And then He told them that He was going to rise again. And then He told them that He was going to leave them. It's very much up and down for these disciples. But He doesn't leave without making a promise. In John 14, we have these words, and these reassuring words that He gives to the disciples. He says this: "But the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things, and will remind you of everything I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." There's so much to unpack there and to enjoy. Just in those few words, we'd need a good 5 hours, let alone 5 minutes. But I just want to encourage you in this short time that we have together this morning. If you're feeling alone and helpless in this time, if you're feeling as if everyone else has forgotten about you, if you feel out of your depth, that no one is with you in this, remember that if you are a Christian, you have the Holy Spirit with you. He reminds us of all the things that Jesus has said. The Holy Spirit gives us peace. He gives us clarity. He shows us how to live more like Jesus. He changes us daily in order that we might look more like God's Son. In fact, Jesus reassures the disciples a bit later on in the book of John, in chapter 16. He says, "It's better that I go, that you may have the Spirit." So hold on to those truths today. The Bible doesn't sugarcoat things. It doesn't ignore loneliness, anxiety, and hopelessness. No, God knows the people that He has created and knows exactly how they feel because He has experienced it Himself in Jesus Christ. And so we're given words of comfort for difficult times like this. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. That was true for the disciples 2,000 years ago, and it's certainly true today.